What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Talkin Football podcast. This is episode 2. It's been a while, right? I mean, I've been recording since like a week after the Super Bowl, so I apologize for that. I've been super busy, but I can promise you now you will see a lot more uploads as we get closer to the season, both posts on Instagram and videos on YouTube. So make sure you keep an eye on that. Put post notifications on both of those, and make sure you follow the Twitch. I'll put those links in the description for you guys to check out. As you can tell by this video, this is we're going to be talking about the quarterback salary cap and if it's necessary or not. But before we do that, let me hit the intro. All right, so that's the if you guys like that, then I'll keep doing it. If not, just let me know. Leave a comment. If you want me to keep doing that intro, I thought it looked cool, so we'll keep rocking with it for now. So before we talk about the QB salary cap, let's look at the current QB contracts that we have. So you can see here, as I move this out of the way, so you guys can see that. Actually, here, let me just hide this really quick. So you can see the number one and two, because they're both making the same amount. In terms of quarterback salaries, Burrow and Lawrence are both making $55 a year, and then beneath them you have Goff at 53, and then it gets down to like low 50s, and then high 40s, mid 40s as you get down the list, and you have Mahomes at 10, which is still wild to me. When I was putting this list together, I was like, I cannot believe that Mahomes is all the way down to 10. He should be all the way up, but he's not. He made a wise choice. He signed early, and now that $45 million a year contract is looking like a bargain. And I mean, this list only proves that, right? I mean, you can see that, and you can be like, I mean, like that's insane that Mahomes is making $45 million a year, and he's on this contract for the next 5, 6, 7 years because of when he signed it. So that's like a crazy thing to think about. Now, Trevor Lawrence, he signed his massive extension. When I saw that he got this money, I was like, this is insane. You have a guy like Trevor Lawrence who's getting $55 million a year. I mean, it almost feels like robbery at this point. But then again, you need to look at what quarterbacks are making. You have guys like Daniel Jones. Jones is making $40 million a year on his current contract. And you have guys like Kirk Cousins now, who just signed in free agency. He's getting $45 a year from Atlanta. Matthew Stafford, I think, is getting in the middle of like 40, I believe. And I believe Josh Allen's making the same around that range that Stafford's in. So the real question is, how will this keep growing? And that's kind of my next point that I wanted to make as I pull up this graphic. Can I show this on stream? I can. There you go. So you can see this again. So you see Burrow, you see Lawrence, and you see Goff. And this isn't even the top. It could keep growing, and that's what's even crazier. You can see here quarterbacks getting extensions. So this list was a little bit longer at the beginning of the offseason, but now that we're here, it's a little bit smaller. Tua is needing a contract from Miami. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Dak wants a contract from Dallas, and Jordan Love in Green Bay. They're working on a contract. Now, out of the three that are on this list, I believe that Jordan Love is the most likely to get a contract extension, or at least he's going to get the soonest. Then followed, I think Tua is the second most likely behind Love, and then Dak. I don't really know what's going on in Dallas right there. They're a huge mess right now. So Jordan Love, I don't know what he's going to get. So again, if you look at what these guys are getting, you have guys like Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. But Burrow makes sense. I feel like you have guys like Lawrence, you have guys like Goff, you have guys like Kyler and Watson that are making 40, 46 plus, 48. What number is that? That's 46. Yeah, you're making 46 plus. Or this in Goff's case, he's making 53 a year. What does that mean for a guy like Jordan Love, who's coming off one good year? I mean, yes, he was fantastic. I mean, Jordan Love was phenomenal. I cannot deny that. He was absolutely fantastic. I mean, what Jordan Love was able to do is something that we haven't seen done since maybe, and it's been a while. He was able to sling the rock. He won a couple playoff games He did not win a couple. He won one playoff game, but he played well against San Francisco in the divisional round. So what does that mean for Green Bay, and what does that mean for the QBs in the future? So I believe that that Love is going to make 50 plus. I think that's a given. Now, where in that 50 range is a question. So if I had to guess, I would say that Love would probably make around 54. I think he's going to make more than Goff, maybe not more than Burrow. And I think Green Bay and Love, they have a mutual understanding that Love is not a guy that's going to reset the quarterback market. He just isn't that kind of guy. And so I feel like if they agreed on that, then I feel like that would make sense. And you're seeing more often, you might see averages that are lower, but guarantees that are way high. And you can see this in the receiving department when you have Jefferson, who's getting 35 a year. To me, that's an underpay. I felt like he should have gotten at least 40, but he's getting 35. And he got, I believe, on that 140, he got 110 of it guaranteed. I may be wrong on that. I was thinking off the top of my head. So if you have a guy like Jefferson who's getting 110 on a 140 contract, what does that mean for a guy like Jordan Love? So if Love, let's say 54 a year. If I can do quick math here, so 54, let's say it's probably around a 5-year deal. That's 270. So 270, how much of that would be guaranteed? Now, I know QBs like high guarantee rates because they are getting hit like crazy now. Blitzing is on an all-time high. You have guys on D-line. You have Gary, you have Watt, you have Parsons who are just coming relentlessly to the quarterback, and your more talent is coming in the future. And Dallas Turner was just drafted. So how does this impact what QBs want? So they want guarantees high, right? So out of that 270 that Jordan Love is projected to get based on my prediction, I would say that Love would want around 220 of it guaranteed. And that's a lot. That's a lot of money to guarantee towards a QB who had one good season. And let me pull this back up right here. You can see it would be a lot of money. It would make Love the third highest paid QB in the NFL. And that's saying a lot for a guy like Jordan Love, who was, again, like I said, he's had one good year, and he's all of a sudden he's going to be top 3 paid. He can play at that level. It's just a matter of how consistently he can do it. Now, the next guy I want to talk about is Tua. He's number 1 on this list. I didn't really do it in any order, but all right, let me talk about Tua next. So the thing with Tua is there's a slight problem here. I don't think it's holdout worthy, but I believe that it is a problem that's big enough for the Dolphins to at least keep an eye on. So based on what I know, the Dolphins are not willing to pay Tua market value. So again, and I apologize for keep going back and forth on these graphics, but if you look at market value, market value looks like it's around 55. I think that's probably a fair value if you had to give to a certain mark. So 55 is the market value. They don't want to go that high. And I don't know now when you say you don't want to pay the market value, I don't know if that means they don't want to pay 55 or I don't know how low that excuse me, I don't know how low they're going to go. Now I don't think they're going to go like 35 million a year low. Like that's insultingly low. I think they're probably going to try and range to at around 45 to 50, which is, again, it's not market value, but it's slightly off. It gives the Dolphins more wiggle room for their other players. They lost a lot of they lost Van Ginkel in the offseason in Minnesota, but they also gained a couple pieces. But they would like other pieces to kind of work around. You have extensions coming up, and I think they would like to have extra money just in case. You don't have to give all your money to Tua, and he's had concussion problems. And again, he was fantastic last year, but in the playoffs he was dreadful. I mean, that game was hard to watch. But again, I don't know if they're going to want to give Tua Joe Burrow kind of money because he's not Joe Burrow. He's not. When it comes down to it, he's just not Joe Burrow. And I mean, honestly, looking at this, he's not Lamar, he's not Herbert, and he's not Hurts. I think Lawrence and Goff are fair arguments, but he's not Lamar, Herbert, or Hurts. You can even argue he's not even Kyler. And obviously he's not Mahomes, but everyone's getting higher than Mahomes. So what does that mean for Tua? I would say that he's probably going to get around 45 million to 50 million. I would say right in the middle, probably. I think you'd say 50 million is a fair estimate for a guy like Tua. Now, the next guy is Dak. Dak wants 60, which would completely reset this market. I mean, that would break the market by 5 million, which is a huge amount. Now I don't know why Dak would want that much. He hasn't played nearly as good as that much. I mean, but he's a regular season merchant. And again, look, you see what's around me. You see the banner up here. That says Giants on it, but that's not what I'm about. All right, I'm not saying that Dak isn't good because I'm a Giants fan. I'm saying he's not worth what he thinks he's worth. When it comes to the playoffs, I believe he has the same amount of wins as Daniel Jones does. That he has no playoff success. He doesn't have deep playoff success. His first year as a Cowboy, when he was a rookie, they went 13-3, and they got eliminated in the first round after clinching the first seed. That's embarrassing, and that's not. If you're a Cowboy, that's not ideal because the expectations are so high. And if you want 60 million to go along with that, it just doesn't make sense. And if I'm Dallas and for some reason I give him $60 million, that would be 4 years for, let's say, 240 million. That is insane. I mean, that, like, you don't see that kind of money being thrown around very often. So if I'm Dallas, I'm getting that number as low as I can. So if I'm Dallas, probably starting low, starting around 50 and trying to meet in the middle, maybe 53, 54, 55. So those are my predictions for that, and I'll throw the screen up again so you can see here, based on my predictions, all three QBs mentioned. Uh, Love would be 54. That would put him at number 3. Prescott, let's say, I think 54 is a fair number for all three of these QBs. Right here, Tua, Dak, and Love. And then that would put them right around the top 5. And again, further making Mahomes look like a bargain here. You can see with my cursor. I mean, wow, that's a bargain deal right there for the Chiefs. Anyways, let's get into the real topic of this. I'll move this over. You can see the real topic of this video. Should there be a salary cap for the QBs? And I think this is a fair question. The salary cap's going to keep rising. You have betting endorsements. That has sparked so much money for the NFL. You have, I mean, and I hate using this. I hate saying this, but Taylor Swift has brought in a lot of money for the NFL as well. So the NFL, they're just making more money, more money, more money. So that salary cap's going to keep going up. So that cap is going to keep going up. That's going to leave some room for spending for other positions. That's not the QBs. But the QB position, they keep going up with the salary cap, and you can see that. Just 6 years ago, when Wentz and Goff were signed their original contracts with the Eagles and the Rams, respectively, they were getting paid, I think, a little bit north of $30 million a year. At that point, that is a lot of money for a QB. Just 5 years later, 50 million is the norm, and that's insane to think about. And really, it's all because of Daniel Jones. Because he's making 40 million a year. They're saying, "Well, I'm not worse than Jones. Why should I be making less than 40 million a year?" And you can see backup QBs are making north of 10 million a year now because of how vital they are. Since last year, there's so many starting QB injuries. It's really interesting to see how this will fold out. Now, to answer this question, should there be a QB salary cap? I think there should be. I think it's a great idea presented by, I think the owners talked about it at their latest meeting, of potentially using a QB salary cap. Now, I think it's important to talk about the logistics of it. Now, I just saw that they were talking about it, and I don't know what the specifics were. I think the QB salary cap should be should be all QBs on your roster. You should be only able to spend a certain amount, and this QB salary cap will keep going up as the normal league salary cap keeps going up. So right now, if the highest average per year with shared by Lawrence and Burrow is 55, I think a fair amount to make a QB salary cap, if they implement one, would be 70 million. I think that's a fair amount. Now, this is what I would do. I would have it be all QBs on the roster have to be under 70 million. Now, If they aren't under 70 million, then maybe you can start docking later draft picks or whatever. I don't know what that logistically would be, but you can start to dock teams. You can start to take off picks from them. I think that would be a fair thing to do. Now, when you look at now, another thing to keep in mind is backup QB contracts. I believe Tyrod Taylor's making 10 million this year from the Jets. I might be wrong on that. I know he was making 10 million from the Giants last year. But you had guys like Gardner Minshew who are more important now. Guys like, let's say, Tommy DeVito, who are way more important now. Guys like Taylor Heineke, those guys are so much more important now because of all the injuries that happened last season. So their market value is only going up. And what could be a potential effect of this? You can only see teams carrying 2 QBs now, which would then theoretically throw out the emergency third quarterback rule because they don't have enough money to spend on 3 QBs. They only have enough money to spend on 2. And that would drastically change it. That would drastically shift the game. It'd definitely be interesting to see how they kind of play around with this, and if they do implement it. I think it'd be good for the game. It doesn't really hurt the players. Um, it just kind of caps that you can only take up a certain number of every team's cap, and I think that's a fair argument to make because you can see how certain contracts screw up teams, and QBs could potentially play a big part in that, and that's something that I'm very curious to see how that plays out during the off season and into the season, even after even next couple seasons. So that's how we're going to end the episode today. Make sure you guys follow Talkin Football Pod on the IG, on Twitch, make sure you subscribe here, like and subscribe. I'll definitely be uploading more consistently. I'm thinking each week I'm going to do like a weekly news recap because this is like the dry part of the season. There's not enough really to talk about in one video. It'll probably be a weekly news recap where I go over things probably for the next month, and then by then it's the preseason. So then I'll start to do previews and recaps of each week when we get there. And obviously make sure you guys follow the IG, and I'll be posting stuff there for you guys to look at. All right, that's where we're gonna end the episode today. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow the socials, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.